Wonderful. So we managed, we made it finally. Thanks everybody for waiting and for being here, and welcome to the final episode, to the season finale of the DOS web series that we've been hosting on SingularityNET YouTube channel for the past 6 months, I would say. So this was an initiative that was born from the DOS Summit. DOS stands for Decentralized OS, where OS stands for Online Summit, but also Operating System. Because here we're trying to understand how we should build and how to best build a decentralized operating system for our society. So the idea was to group together different 5 experts from 5 different industries and get them to explore different aspects of the decentralization of our society. But then we realized that these experts that we have here today in our panel, they spent so much time interviewing other experts and nobody actually ever interviewed them. So this is the chance to shine and to tell us their story. So thank you guys for being here. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marcello.
Thanks for having us.
Beautiful. So today we have Bill, Gabriel, Jeremy, and Ray. Unfortunately, Luke couldn't make it to today's call. So we might host a full special just on Luke next time, like a 45 minutes interview or just Luke. No, I'm joking. We'll see. But it will be great to have him back. So let's send our greetings to Luke. So guys, would you mind give a very brief introduction about you and about what you've done at the Decentralized OS so far, and what your experience have been? And let's start from my left, or maybe right, depending how you will look at the screen. So Bill, you can start.
Yeah. Thank you, Marcello. It's nice to be here. And I had a really fun time and a very topical, pertinent theme at Decentralized Economy over the past couple months, and learned so much myself. I'm sure the viewers had a good time too. My background is currently I'm the CEO at Singularity Studio. So we're in a SingularityNET production, obviously, and I run one of the spinoffs there where we're focused on enterprise decentralized artificial intelligence. My background, briefly, serial entrepreneur. I just had an exit in January, sold the blockchain company to job.com. I've been involved with future of work, with AI, with software. You can put yourself to sleep by reading my LinkedIn if you really want to know the details. But super thrilled, Marcello, to be a part of this. I look forward to talking about some of the guests that we had, which were phenomenal, SingularityNET related, and had a fantastic time at Decentralized Economy this year.
Yeah, thank you so much. SingularityNET related and SingularityDAO. Let's not forget to mention
Absolutely.
occasionally to slip in SingularityDAO in any of these conversations. No, I'm joking. Of course, I'm the CEO of SingularityDAO, so that has been my baby, and that's what I've been working on for the past 6 months, and I'm sure that all of you guys are aware. So let's, Gabriel, on my right hand side.
Thank you, Marcello. Yep. So my name is Gabriel Axel Montez, and I have a background in neuroscience. I've been with SingularityNET since the token generation era, and recently have been brought back on board, reinitiated as a kind of culture and well-being officer, and doing some people work within the organization. My background in neuroscience, I love fusing it with mind-body practices. So I'm an avid consciousness explorer. I try all sorts of different things, arcane practices, kind of standard practices, and kind of think about the neuroscience of the future. You know, the neuroscience of 100 years from now, what will it look like when BCI is interacting with DeFi, for example? What it will be the consciousness of humans and AIs when they're fused in their minds together. So kind of thinking about these horizons, building kind of big roadmaps in that direction. And within SingularityNET now, really building an organization that is capable of more effectively and expeditiously building the AGI, the benevolent AGI we want to see in the world.
Yeah, and I mean, it's great to actually have you back in the SingularityNET Foundation and working with you. And if our audience, and I'm sure they did, watch some of your episodes, they saw the amazing meditations that you do on your episodes, and it's a great honor to be able to have that sort of insight and spirituality within our HR team. So I listened to most of your episode, and I was doing the meditations with you, and I always appreciate it massively. In fact, I actually bought one of the books that you recommended during one of your episodes, and when you told me one of your meditations was coming from this book, so I ordered it. I'm a good student. Thank you so much, Gabriel. Jeremy.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm Jeremy Epstein. I'm a trained marketer for the last 25 years, and I've spent most of my career trying to explore the impact of marketing as a result of the arrival of new technologies. So going back to internet, social media, got into blockchain about 5.5 years ago, did some work with AI, and I've spent most of my time writing, doing keynote presentations, and I've worked as advisors for some great projects like Zcash, Arweave, Dapper Labs, DAOstack, SingularityNET, Radix, and a bunch of others. So I just love helping do what I can to help these projects bring the decentralized future to the present as quickly as possible. I was the host of the DeFi channel. We had some great guests from Ocean Protocol, from Swarm Protocol, and from Polygon/Matic. So it was a great honor to be a part of this series. So thank you for the opportunity.
It was a great honor for us to have you as one of our hosts, and the phenomenal job that you did hosting the DeFi track. It was definitely remarkable, and also like your support over this year, occasionally helping us with our marketing and storytelling activities. So thank you so much, Jeremy, for all your help. Ray, you're next.
Thank you, Marcello. Hello, everybody. Ray Dogum here. I have had the pleasure of hosting the Decentralized Health web series. It was really cool because it actually started around the time COVID began becoming a big deal. So I had the great opportunity of interviewing a few people in that space. And particularly, we talked about how AI, how the whole decentralized movement will affect the healthcare system, how data is collected. I started a podcast about 3 years ago, and this is kind of how I got into this, called Health Unchained, where I specifically started interviewing people who are working on blockchain applications in the healthcare space. And I'm currently a senior consultant at a company called Consensus Health. My background is actually in chemical engineering, but I kind of moved over to the digital health space, working in telemedicine. And yeah, thank you for having me here, and I'm looking forward to this conversation as well.
Oh, it's been a pleasure to have you. And it's funny enough. So I remember how I found out about you first, and you were just one of the audience members during the OS summit, and you were asking a question, and I spotted the name of your podcast, and I thought, well, that could be a great vertical of a potential DOS web series, and that's how the whole concept came out. So obviously the aim of the DOS web series was to inform our audience and to keep them engaged with creative content. So a lot of companies in the crypto space, they have their own channel, but I feel they lack of this great creative content that you guys have been able to put together for us, and we really want to not just make a marketing machine out of our YouTube channel, but we want to make an entertainment media channel for our community to keep engaged with the work that SingularityNET Foundation, which spans across decentralized finance with SingularityDAO, which spans across health with Rejuve, which comes across enterprise AI development with the Singularity Studio, and of course all the work that Gabriel is doing within the foundation to keep us healthy and well in our daily. So guys, what has been the most interesting area that you guys have explored that you haven't explored perhaps before, thanks to the DOS web series? Maybe we'll start with Bill once again.
Yeah, sure. I as I mentioned in the intro, I learned so much with the decentralized economy, and we focused a lot, or at least a little bit, on SingularityDAO, also on Sophia's NFT drop with Andrea Bonacetto, and that was all exciting. But what I really was really happy to partake in is just really how decentralization is affecting all of us through DeFi, through NFTs, and really doing these interviews in the middle of the craze, right? We're in a little bit of a down phase, holding fast in crypto currently, but I was doing these interviews in February and March and learned so much about that whole market. Interviewing industry leaders, Michael Turpin, who's known as the godfather of crypto, founder of the Transform Group, way back when raised 10,000 Bitcoin for his fund and was one of the original investors in Ethereum with Vitalik. And, learning about his journey and understanding his vision of where the decentralized economy is going. We're seeing so much disruption. And, I'm talking to CEOs, CFOs in traditional finance, sometimes of 100 million or even billion-dollar businesses. And to understand that much of the world doesn't understand where decentralization is going in the economy, and be able to talk to these thought leaders was really huge for me. I know for those of you that are watching this video and saw some of our interviews, we had Pablo Rodriguez Fraile, who bought one of Beeple's artwork for $60,000 and sold it 5 months later in March for $6 million, was evidence of the big run up that we had in NFTs. And the thing is, this is like Internet 1992 with NFTs. We haven't even started yet. We're just talking about art, learning about the different use cases of NFTs. Vincent Harrison was part of that. I mentioned Andrea Bonacetto, who collaborated with Sophia to create artwork that I believe the total drop was $1.5 million sold within a matter of a day or so. It was phenomenal. Yeah. Matthew Land and David Marshall of Marshland Capital were tremendous about how they invest in, what they look for in crypto companies that they invest in. And of course, they're investors in SingularityDAO, which has had a phenomenal launch recently. And then finally finishing up with Sherwin Lee. Yeah, congratulations, Marcello. You did a fantastic job. And it's no easy task, right? You always say it's an overnight success, but it takes years run up to get there. So kudos. Sherwin Lee, Chris Croft, Leslie Tam, all investors in crypto, kind of rounded out the season at the end. So I would say that I really learned the inner workings of how decentralization is affecting the economy. For me personally, it motivated me to take action in the crypto markets and start to look at things differently. And I hope it motivated the viewers too.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you buy your first NFT?
Well, Pablo sent me my first NFT. And,
no way.
And so, I thanked him already, but it was called the Singularity, and he sent it to me, and that was my first NFT. And then I got on Top Shot, NBA Top Shot. I had an LA Laker living across the street from me, Alex Caruso, for some time, and so I went and bought a few of his stuff because I was personally attached. But now I'm all over it. And matter of fact, I'm involved in advising tokens that are using NFTs for resumes and to sell services and some exciting projects now.
Yeah, no, I think you said it right. I mean, NFT art, it was just scratching the surface, right? I mean, there's so many other applications of NFT that that can come out in the next years, and so we're very much just at the beginning. And when you were talking about Sophia's NFT, you forgot to mention that Sophia painted my own portrait that is now on sale on the secondary market for $12 million. My
is
face
it really?
is on sale. It's on sale for I have a $12 million face.
Why is it so low?
Yeah, exactly. I know. That's tough for a grab.
You know what? Hats off to you, because I called you afterwards. We talked the day after you had the drop, and you had the highest selling pieces that raised the most amount of money. And I was like, what? I thought Dr. Gertzel was going to be the highest level, but it was you. Congrats on that. And now here you are, $1 million man.
Yeah, I think Ben is a little bit jealous of it, to be honest.
Marcello, how much are you getting out of that 12 million? Did you get a?
No, absolute zero. I'm such a terrible negotiator. I didn't even negotiate a secondary market percentage. But my face is there on the blockchain forever. So what's better than eternal glory? Money can't buy it. Does anybody else here own any NFT? Jeremy, did you buy any NFT?
Oh yeah, I've had a bunch. I was I was very involved with the Top Shot team from the early stages of the Flow white paper. I helped them write the version 1 of that, so I was very early on Top Shots. Bought a bunch, and my son was making fun of me. I was like, "This could be a big deal," and then he saw it on ESPN. He's like, "Dad, Top Shots on ESPN." So yeah, I have some art, got some crypto kitties. So yeah, I've got, I'm not an active trader, but have some that I figured, hold on, see what happens.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, we're all expecting a second wave of fame for NFTs, despite now, I mean, the market is a little bit calmer, right? So what do you expect from the market, Jeremy, for the next few months? Just as a guess, of course, not financial advice. The general crypto market.
People ask me this, and the answer is I don't really care, because the thesis hasn't changed for me in terms of how big this will be over the long haul. I'm old enough to remember the early days of the internet. I sent my first email in 1991. And in those days, I was like expecting everything to happen overnight. And now I sort of am at the point where it's like, okay, it's going to take a while. So hodl, look at it. If you're confident in the long term and it's a high conviction, the next couple months doesn't matter. That being said, I think what I will say is we had an interview. The first interview I did was with the Polygon Matic team. And that really helped me start thinking more deeply about layer twos and sort of like the post Ethereum world. So I went into Matic. I just got in, used some synthetics. I moved it to Optimism. I used some ZK rollups. And I was like, wow, we could be coming on a layer 2 DeFi summer now because these gas fees will go down. So I would expect, and now Arbitrum just launched with their developer version or whatever. So I think we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if we see another big run over the summer, especially with all the ongoing money printing and all that stuff. People are looking for growth to outpace inflation. And, the UI is still not quite there, but it is getting, and it's like the dial-up modem days for me. But at the end of the day, like it's getting incrementally better. So if you have that long-term perspective and you're willing to get your hands dirty, like that's how you get the benefit of it. So, I think it's up and to the right for the next decade as far as what happens over the next couple of weeks. Your guess is as good as mine. Maybe we could do like a collective predictive market on that with staking or something like that.
Yeah, well,
Can I ask you a question related to the DeFi and economy group here? Just thinking about El Salvador's, making Bitcoin legal tender, how do you think that's going to actually be affecting other countries? Because I think, it kind of sets a precedence that a country can do this. And if it's successful and it's happening, what do you see in terms of how other countries are behaving?
I mean, I think it's huge. I like 3-4 years ago, personally, I was like, wow, all of Latin America should be on Bitcoin. like, I'm not a Latin American expert, but I've been there a couple of times. I'm like, this is just obvious. They should all move to that. So the fact that El Salvador, I wouldn't have put my money on them to be first, but I think it's awesome that somebody took that first jump. And then you start to see, no one wants to be first, right, on anything, but like being second. So now I think you'll start to see it. I think it's huge. And it has a lot of upside, but we'll see.
Yeah, there's so much negative news from the general public about crypto, and that's positive news. It was hugely positive. And of course, you may have seen that El Salvador is getting their hands slapped by the international community a little bit. And as you said, Jeremy said, first mover could be tough, especially for an El Salvador. It's not like it's a first world country with a lot of resources, and they're being criticized for moving so fast. But they moved fast. I mean, Bitcoin's been around for some time now and proven its stability. So huge development for sure.
Yeah, there shouldn't be any credit for moving too fast, to be honest. As you said, it's been around for a long time, and they should have done it probably even earlier than that. By the way, Jeremy, you mentioned you sent your first email in 1991. I don't think Ray was born in 1991.
Actually was. I was still a toddler, but I was born.
Yeah. It's. I told my wife at one point, I found out there were fewer than 1 million people in the world who had email in 1991. I said, I want that on my gravestone. Like, that's my claim to fame, So I'm an old man, guys. What can I say?
No. Man, age is a state of mind.
Yeah, you may not be the oldest on this call, to be honest.
Oh, fair enough.
I think my first email was like in 1998, so way after you.
Still relatively early, though.
Especially for you, Ray. You must have been like 8.
I was quite young, into the computers, I guess.
Ray, when we were talking about doing a longevity episode for when we start, when we're talking about age, right? I mean, for when we start the decentralized health again. So what has been like one of your most interesting guests, or what has been your main take from hosting the decentralized health?
Yeah, I mean,
series?
I think all of them are interesting, and I interviewed Cole Sursek from DocDoc. I interviewed Eva Lee, who's a researcher who did a lot of work around the COVID pandemic, and also Dr. Maurice Ramirez. And one of the main highlights that I learned is how important personalized medicine is. Like right now, the way the healthcare system works, it's very, apply all a kind of situation. So like there's not a very personalized way to handle your specific individual situation, given your genetic information or your previous health information. It's more about, you know, what is the protocol that a doctor should be following and how can we align that protocol with this individual? It's not super specific. It is getting better. I think one of the things that Dr. Ramirez mentioned is how AI is going to play a key factor in developing more personalized solutions, individual care. And I think that's super important. One thing that I also learned is in healthcare, it's such a challenge because of regulation around how data is managed. One of the promises of blockchain in general actually is this idea of being able to share your information, but in a private way, and allow AI, maybe in like a federated learning model, allow AI to make predictive recommendations for you, but without sharing your specific information or data to any centralized individual or company. I think that's super important. And, you know, we talked a lot about those kind of things. So, you know, people feel free to check it out. They're long conversations. I won't get into all of that there. One other thing that I found interesting, which is kind of like a challenge to how I think the majority of people think, is when we talked about vaccinations and like masking prevention, like preventing COVID in the community with Eva Lee. And she's a very data heavy driven person, and which makes sense. But I think that looking at the comments in the YouTube chat video, there are some people that still don't necessarily either believe in the vaccine very strongly, or that they don't think that masking is effective. And sure, there's plenty of debates that we can have about the scientific credibility about certain recommendations that were made. You know, maybe masking outside might not be as important as masking inside, depending on the weather or temperature. I think there's a lot of variables to discuss. So it's not a binary yes, no, you should do this, you shouldn't. So just like looking at those, you know, comments that are against the norm were interesting for me. And I think people just need to get a little bit more educated, and including myself. I think we all need to continue education. I think it's not like, oh, you have to learn what I know or you have to learn what the CDC tells you. I think this is a continuous process. And if we all have sort of an open mind about it, it can lead to better health for everybody, or decentralized health for everybody too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. At the same time, we are flooded with content, right? So, I mean, educating ourselves is becoming increasingly difficult with the amount of information out there. And that's why, you know, I believe in the model that we did with the Decentralized OS, of having experts sort of functioning as filter or gatekeeper of the information, because otherwise the amount, I mean, we will all require a PhD just on choosing which vaccine is best for us, right? And it's getting critically difficult. And so remembering some of your episodes, I mean, you mentioned Cole Siruchek, like a hell of a controversial guy, right? I mean, it was a super interesting interview. The guy is very interesting, and that episode was super bubbly, let's say. Well, Eva Lee that you mentioned, she was the first scientist that predicted the outbreak in the United States. I mean, she's a tough cookie. I mean, she's a great scientist and researcher, but damn, I mean, she predicted the outbreak before anybody else.
She did, and she was, you know, waving the flag, getting, you know, government officials to become more aware of this and start taking action as soon as possible. She even on the episode mentions how, you know, certain policymakers just take too much time to make decisions, especially for this kind of pandemic situation. And she also mentioned how millions or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of lives could have been, you know, saved, or people could have been prevented, or they could have prevented them from getting COVID if they acted a little bit early and locked down. Again, you're going to have people on the other side of the field too saying, you know, locking down the economy is a bad idea. So it was all just really interesting for me.
She was also the star of a documentary about the COVID management in the United States called, does anybody recall that? I need to find it on our YouTube channel, but it wasn't, I'm going to find the title and share the link in the description, because it's an extremely interesting documentary on how the US government handled the pandemic. And Eva was one of the scientists, the key reference scientists for the whole documentary. We actually hosted during the OS summit, we hosted a fireside chat between Eva and one of the directors of the documentary, which was extremely interesting. So it's very silly of me not remembering the title right now. I'll find it in a sec. And Gabriel, how was it for you? So differently from the other hosts, you didn't have guests, right? So you had lecture to explore consciousness related topics. So how was for you hosting the decentralized consciousness? Sorry,
Marcello,
Ray.
really quickly, I just want to say the name of that documentary. I think it's called Totally Under Control.
Totally Under Control. Exactly. I loved it. Yeah, I encourage everybody to find it. I think back then when I watched it was on sale on Amazon Prime. I think now it's available on Netflix, but it's easier to find than a few months ago. Thank you so much, Ray. Thank you. Gabriel.
Yeah. Look, it just kind of reflecting on the discussions we've been having here so far. With SingularityNET in kind of the context and AGI, I kind of think about a lot of things in terms of how can we build a benevolent, beneficial, artificial general intelligence that has oracular capabilities, can help humanity learn and collaborate in a way that we don't self-destruct on ourselves. As we know, with talking with Ben Goertzel and so on and so forth, a truly intelligent, super intelligent AGI could be potentially freed from a lot of human biases. And we have to then ask, what are the kinds of human biases that distort our behavior, that are leave us either kind of constantly shifting between prioritizing our individuality over the collective, or prioritizing the collective in kind of a tribal way over the good of the self and your own self-development and growth, and stunting it, and also other individuals through just projection and so on. So, we've talked about, the market phases, we're talking about health and how do we get people to organize to take care of a pandemic. And I kind of, there's a lot of dopamine going on, right? I mean, we're following markets like our little roller coaster. People kind of get a little depressed during down phases, even if we don't admit it. At the same time, we have the wherewithal to stay positive above it all and float, and then there's also kind of the fear and hijacking that happens with the tribal thinking around how do you manage a pandemic. Every country has their own approach. And in the beginning of the pandemic, I thought this could be an amazing opportunity for all of us to get together and think about how do we have a sustainable human civilization on Earth and beyond. And this could be an opportunity for like synchronizing across cultures, but no. One of the first things that happened was, China was maligned, and it's like, okay, like we can have a rational discussion about this, but it really turned into a quick tribal thing. Like, okay, shots fired. And then it just go, once you shoot the first fire, the first negative fire, you make people's like dopamine and their entire neural system go into their reptilian brain. And then people get on the defense. So the onus is always on the, if you're the first speaker, if you're the first country or the first group or what have you to set, you have the opportunity to set the tone in a discussion. And so I think we really need to ask ourselves about the better angels of our nature, so to speak, and how can we collaborate towards higher reaches, realms of human growth to collaborate together, because I think there's a great potential to really do ourselves in small ways, like a boiling frog, right? Like if you throw the frog in boiling water, it'll try to climb out, but if you slowly bring it to a boil, it won't realize it and it'll just croak and die. So that's kind of our situation. So going back to AGI, human intelligence, we're constantly conditioned by the sort of limitations of our own neural system and our history, right? Like survival in a three-dimensional environment. Okay, what are the threats? Who's part of my tribe? Who can I trust? Who can I not trust? That has all gotten us to where we are now, and it has developed culture to where we are now. We have parents and families of different ethnicity. Like we can discover our roots and the unique cultural things, the beautiful things on the outside. I would say that a lot of things that drove all that is mercantilism and like war that created separations. And at the root of that is just tribalism, deep root survival dynamics that kind of undercut a lot of things. So we have this beautiful, amazing culture. We can respond beautifully to pandemic. We can learn to create better and better products financially, crypto-wise, we can build great AGI. That said, how much more effective, how much more expeditiously can we synchronize our actions, our awareness, as a species, if we were to really self-examine and be like, how can we collaborate without tribal thinking, doing our best to do some degree of personal mastery, not like achieving personal mastery, just a process of, hey, we're just gonna do better every day, let go of the memories of the frictions of interactions we have, and realize that we're breathing the same freaking air. You know, we're doing a lot. We're affecting our environment, and in reality, you know, the center of the planet connects us all in a very like deep way that current scientific instruments and approaches to science and the awareness of scientists and developers and all that, we just haven't gotten there as a collective to all click into place. Oh yeah, there is really a deep connection here, but we just forget, you know, we forget that the world is round. So part of the decentralized consciousness was about how can we literally decentralize consciousness? So take away the bias to be self-centered, to be group-centered, to rather be world-centered or cosmos-centered, you know, to think in a round way. You know, roundness doesn't, you know, that's why pi is infinite, because you can't ever like find the exact measurements for something round. There's a whole different order there. So just even contemplating a circle or a sphere can bring you into an interesting state of consciousness. So what if we can have non-local awareness? What if we can cultivate those capabilities? And, you know, if you look at wisdom traditions and religions, and I'll wrap this up in just a minute. If you look at wisdom traditions and religions, you can like take away the kind of the cultural embellishments that they had at the time and just find the raw like techniques that some of them discovered and documented, hidden within a lot of cultural stuff and mythology, but you can find little interesting techniques of how to regulate your mind, how to regulate your breath. So part of what we need is to unearth these things, translate them into a modern language that people can understand, and translate them into AGI, perhaps, so that AI can support humans in this endeavor. And also AI developers, you know, if they're aware of, oh, yeah, human intelligence is more profound than mathematical or even basic emotional intelligence, then the bar for the Turing test will be much higher. It's like, well, you know, before we give AI all this permission to do a lot of things autonomously, we'll maybe make sure, oh yeah, is this AI going to act in our better interest? Are there aspects of ourselves that we don't understand fully that we can make room for in a collaboration with AI, you know, and an AI that's self-aware and so on. So just to summarize, you know, the series was an introduction. I look forward to doing interviews in the next round, and mostly I introduce an ethical case for development of AI. Basically, it's intrinsic into the way that the biases of the human brain work, that we want to replicate ourselves in the form of AI, because that's happening through objective thought. It's like a form of post-biological reproduction. We're trying to understand ourselves, but we don't realize to do that, we're actually building a copy of ourselves externally. So we're actually reproducing constantly with the artifacts we push into the environment as we go from stone tool hominins to advanced post-human of the future. So part of that is saying, ethically speaking, what do we need to take into account? What can we learn about our consciousness? How can we collaborate more effectively to bring about a beneficial future? So yeah, that about sums it up. So you know, those episodes are there. We go into some techniques and, you know, to explore consciousness and just scratching the surface. So hopefully we'll go deeper in the next season.
And Ray, do you have any questions? Sorry.
Yeah, I just want to say, Gabriel, I think I love the way you take the neuroscience perspective in this. Being a health person, I think it's very interesting. And I think you're totally right in that we can sometimes live in that tribal world where the dopamine levels kind of trigger how we react, but we're not really thinking about these things quite clearly. And I think that you're totally correct, and that is important. I just want to say your episode that I watched on the evolution of how we will evolve from you know, into an AI AGI world, I just thought it was really interesting. And for Marcello, one more thing I want to recommend for the next series, potentially, kind of like Gabriel triggered this, was a series on the environmental applications or like climate change applications using blockchain or, you know,
Agreed.
DLT.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Marcello, if I may, first of all, what a intelligent response from the head of human resources at SingularityNET. It's at the level of intelligence that is at the organization is off the charts. Shout out to Dr. Ben Goertzel and everybody that supported him in the seminal idea of benevolent, decentralized artificial general intelligence, which is so important. That's why we're here, right? Marcello, you've been here for years supporting that. Thank you for that. One thing I learned that I was thinking about, and everybody speaking, is the level of intelligence of our SingularityNET audience. It is high. They are patient, yet they're also very fast paced. They will not let you say something that's off base. They will correct you quickly. And we're here because of them. And it's growing so big. I believe it's over 100,000 reach now. Thank you to everybody from SingularityNET, AGI token holders, AI supporters, general fans of Dr. Goertzel, love Sophia the robot. You're really an amazing audience for us to be able to share with. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot for highlighting that, Bill. Absolutely, I totally agree on the level of intelligence of our communities that, you know, for a reason or another, sometimes open source, decentralized chats don't really highlight the best and the most intelligent conversation for the confusing and chaotic nature of those. But if people visit actually other communication channel, including our forum, you will see the amount of interesting conversations that are happening there and private conversations that are happening on separate channels. I mean, I'm super proud of our community. We have nuclear physicists in our community. I mean, some of you guys started from our community, and most of our hires actually come from the community. So absolutely, that is great kudos to our community, but also to the internal level of intelligence, as you were saying. I mean, Gabriel is a great example of this, but we have tons of PhDs within our organization, and this is also why we wanted to produce more and more content through our social media, because we really want to highlight all of those interesting conversations that are happening internally and all of these great talents that we have internal to SingularityNET, and actually invite our audience to check out the latest series by Ben called The General Theory of General Intelligence, which is actually going on during the summer to replace the DOS while we regroup together for after the summer. So thanks a lot for highlighting that, Bill. Yeah, and an environmental series, a series focusing on AI and blockchain for environment. That's absolutely a great idea. And for some reason, I didn't think about it, but absolutely, that's something that we should do. Also, because we're doing a lot of scientific work within SingularityNET about that. We're doing work on soil carbon sequestration emissions, right? So Dr. Matthew Eckley has been doing some groundbreaking research, and we tried to explain and unwrap that into some episodes, but actually doing a whole series just dedicated on that. I mean, of course, I mean, that's our biggest challenge, right? I mean, global warming and preserving our environment. And hopefully, if we manage to build an AGI faster than we fuck up the planet, then they can help us solving most of the issues that we created ourselves, right? Okay. Anybody has any questions, anything to add, anything that you guys want to look forward for the future, both for the series or something that interests you the most in your area of expertise? Starting from Jeremy.
Oh, wow. Well, I will say, if I can I just pile on to the climate thing and then move to that question?
Please.
So there's a project that I find really interesting, and I am helping them. So full disclosure on that one, it's called MOSS. They have something called the MCO2 token, where they tokenize carbon credits from the Amazon rainforest, and they allow people to purchase those tokens either as an investment vehicle, and if you study the carbon markets, that might be of interest to you, but also then you can obviously provably burn those carbon credits as a way of doing offsets. And they just launched the first green Bitcoin fund. So every time One River is the asset management, they buy Bitcoin, they offset it with equivalent amount of carbon credits. So it's a really cool way to start pushing forward that renewable or at least carbon neutral narrative. So just wanted to give them a shout out if I could. But, you know, I'm really, I mean, from a DeFi perspective, you know, I think it's been really interesting in this last run up to see how many people from sort of more, I guess, not quite mainstream, but maybe sort of the next phase of the adoption curve have started to come on because they're very concerned about inflation and they're very looking for yield and what have you. So I think the on-ramping process is still relatively difficult. It's really cumbersome. So I'm going to be really interested in seeing who's doing a good job of removing the friction of getting from your fiat into DeFi and taking advantage of the yields in there. And then, continuing to give access to our point about El Salvador and really hoping that we can achieve the dream of what decentralized finance is really all about, not just rich people getting richer, but really making it more accessible to people for the unbanked and people who don't have a chance to build wealth. So I guess both sides are of interest to me. And, we'll just keep every day. It's great to see the evolution happening in sort of small micro increments, I suppose.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, look at what the DeFi movement and what also the NFT movement is doing in Africa as well, right? I mean, we're seeing great adoption of DeFi tools all across. Nigeria is one of the biggest DeFi market actually, and that's for a reason for sure. And actually talking about different initiatives, you just made me remember that we are going with SingularityNET to launch our DeFi funding program in the next few months, where we're going to seed projects coming from our community that we can launch through the SingularityDAO Launchpad and accelerate to the SingularityDAO ecosystem. So we're taking seed project, great idea, funding them through the deep funding pool thanks to the SingularityNET phase 2, that then we can launch to a launchpad. So we're getting into DeFi and accelerate through AI-based portfolios. So I think we are into something here. We are into
I think the innovation potential is obviously there, and a Singularity DAO type environment will just really catalyze it. And what's been really interesting about both blockchain and now COVID is that people are seeing that value can be created independent of place. It doesn't have to be Silicon Valley or whatever. It can really happen anywhere. And that's really, I guess if you're in Silicon Valley, it's not good, but for the rest of us, it's great. And I think that that's really important. So yeah, kudos for the work you've done to Bill's point. And, I'm excited for the next season. That's why I keep hitting you up. Like, when are we going to get going, man? Let's do
it. Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, and obviously, all the success that we've been having, both with the phase 2 of SingularityNET and with SingularityDAO, it's because of the great team that works behind the scene at SingularityNET that I'm extremely thankful for. As you said, we have the luck of working with some of the smartest people in blockchain and in AI, and I often say that the best and brightest mind of our generation are now in crypto. And
apparently the only $12 million face too. So there you go.
There you go. Exactly. But so best, brightest, and most beautiful people in crypto.
Right. All right, I'm going to bow out here because I have to go. But nothing personal. It's been great meeting you all, and thank you for the opportunity. I'll see you next season. Yep, I know.
Thank you.
Talk to you later. Thanks, man.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Yeah, we are about to wrap up this episode anyway, and thank you guys for being part of it, and can't express enough how lucky I am, and I will be to have you as part of the OS web series. And I hope that our audience also enjoyed this episode, and I invite everybody to go back and watch the previous episode of the DOS web series, which makes it a great summer watch, I would say, on the beach or whatever you are on holiday, if you're going on holiday, or even at home if you are in lockdown anywhere else anywhere in the globe. Any final remark, starting with Bill?
Yeah, I would say that the series, we're all the faces of this series. Marcello, you have really, as the head of marketing for SingularityNET pre-ICO, have really been a key figure in that. But we all, as you said, started in the community. So for those of you that are watching this, you smart people out there, we want to hear from you, and we want to know what topics to have. And I'll tell you a quick story. I introduced a person to Dr. Ben Goertzel last year. Her name is Janet. I had met her on a call previously, and she, great energy, was working at a bank at that point, head of AI. And, she started to really interact with Ben because they have similar interests and so forth. And now she's our COO. thankfully, because she's amazing. And anybody, this is a decentralized platform, and we're here for you, and we all are working together for AGI, but also to make the world a better place. So my one thing I'll leave with is step up and be a part of this and help us grow this, because it's for all of our good.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you, Bill. Yes, Janet did a great job. She was an outstanding member of our community, and now she's our CEO. Jan Horlings, also part of our community, and now he's our VP of product. EB, which originally started 5 years back as a volunteer in our community, now she's our VP of marketing. So this is how we like to build SingularityNET from the ground up, and thanks to the support of open source decentralized community. So as Bill said, please stand up and make yourself noticed, because we're here to work all together to build a centralized AGI. Sorry to interrupt you, Ray.
No, it's all good. I just want to kind of echo what Bill was saying and encourage everybody to kind of participate and contribute and ask questions. You know, this is kind of a new space for everybody. So don't feel like you're not familiar with something and you can't get involved. It's still early for everybody. And post comments, make sure that you challenge us. And if we say something that's not correct, and we're here to learn as well. So I'm very thankful for this opportunity, and I can't wait for the next season as well. So yeah, take care, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we love questions, we love channel, but we also appreciate great manner and respect in our community. And sometimes some people get a little bit too passionate about their arguments, and sometimes they cross the bar of normal and civil manner. But to those that are willing to engage in civil conversation, we're always here. We always participate in the communities. We always answer to all emails, to all comments, to all tweets. So we are there for great conversation. So as Ray said, please keep them coming, because that's what excited us.
Super grateful for this. I actually really enjoyed this chat. I feel like ideas have a great opportunity to come together when we kind of have this little, ad hoc type of panel. I look forward to the next series, and I thank Ben, I thank Marcello, I thank Janet for making a lot of these things happen. Marcello, thank you for bringing me on Decentralized Consciousness. It's been a lot of fun. I look forward to the next one, and as Bill and Ray said, please ask questions, get involved. This is a decentralized community. I started also, I kind of did some early volunteering, and then, then was welcomed into the org. So, whether you're a volunteer for life or you find other ways of working with us, we really enjoy the human aspect, even as we build AGI. So you think, oh, we're building AGI, Singularity, is that not human? No. It's very much a human affair. We are here. We're building a world for our children, and we're building a world that's seeding the future AI, and we're doing our best to operate with the best intentions and learn, adjust our behavior. And so I love being in a constant learning process, and letting things emerge progressively and naturally. So I'm just grateful to be here in every moment, every breath. May we remember to integrate ourselves and operate from our gut, from our mind, and and our hearts. And I think we have a bright future ahead if we look at things along those lines. So thank you once again.
Thank you, Gabriel. I mean, all of you guys' series were amazing, and it was an honor to have you hosting the DOS web series. And thanks a lot for accepting to be our host. I also want to take this chance to thank Evie Ben-Ali, who's the VP of marketing at SingularityNET, who's doing an amazing job in coordinating a gigantic team of people to make this series happening, and all of our communications. I also want to thank Luke Mason, who was not able to make this conversation, but he was a fantastic host of the Decentralized Future podcast, where he interviewed among the many also the founder of the creator of Siri, and many other thought leaders in the futurist and AI industry. So also his series was fantastic. And what else? You guys have done a great job. Kudos to the team. And you've done such an amazing job that, let me brag a little bit, but we tripled our YouTube following since we launched the DOS web series, and we doubled all of our social following, meaning that creating great content pays off. And I believe we managed to do some interesting stuff. Few things could have done better. Maybe we should increase the professionalism in creating with stage lighting and cool things. But I think the content was there, and we did an amazing job despite the constraint of being decentralized and remote, and sometimes connection was a little bit sketchy. But hey, I think we produced some highly intelligent stuff that was extremely appreciated by our community and also our team internally. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you. I truly appreciate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Time to wrap up this conversation. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Thank you for watching the final episode of the DOS.
Sorry,
Bye-bye.
Thank you.